if I talk in a creepy voice, slowly, with piano playing in the background? It doesn't really matter what I say. Ghost and Satan and whatever is hella metal. Maybe it's corny. That's okay. Album intros usually are corny. Butthole. Welcome to Daily Metal, where every day a different metal album gets dissected for your sadistic listening pleasure. I'm the heavy metal lawyer Emma, and in this show I'll talk about why the music in these albums is so good and where they fall in the history of music's most wretched genre. On July 13, 2012, Denial of God were possessed by demonic spirits to produce their album, Death and the Beyond. Started in 1991, Denial of God is black metal hailing from the oft-overlooked Scandinavian country of Denmark. In a prior video, I talked about how the Satanism of bands like Gorgoroth actually ran counter to the more pagan origins of Scandinavian black metal. While Denial of God has plenty of allusions to Satan and Satan worship, if you couldn't tell from the name of the band itself, from the beginning they were most interested in gothic horror, especially the various kinds of undead supernatural entities. The band pairs this subject matter with its very own romantic take on black metal, and I mean romantic in terms of the sound of the music. Whether it's the second movement of Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata, or the layered extravagant synth pop of English band Visage, romantic has always been used in music to describe the grand, the tragic, and the flamboyant. Despite having the key elements of traditional black metal, gnarly guitars, wretched ghastly vocals, and blast beats on the drums, the band often departs that traditional sound, especially to play slower and to have melodic lines and solos being played by the guitar. And perhaps most unusual of all for black metal, the band is not afraid to play in major keys. Rather than the usual dreary and grim tones you'd expect from black metal, Denial of God sounds epic or even triumphant. It almost feels like the album's title, Death and the Beyond, and the album cover has a meaning other than the gothic imagery of ghosts and coffins. Quote, "We shall live again. In many forms we shall return," prays vocalist Ustumalagam at the beginning of the song The Cursed Chamber. For a band that is often singing about vampires and phantoms, many of the lyrics talk about death in a way that is not fantastical at all, especially in the song Bones Turn to Dust, which is simply about the pain of losing a loved one and the longing to reunite with them, whatever it takes. Death and the Beyond saw Denial of God perform a wonderful balancing act both musically and thematically, staying true to the black metal sound while creating their own romantic and melodic take on it, and keeping in themes of gothic horror while keeping in themes of gothic horror with hints and whispers of the real agonies that such fantasies have always existed to alleviate. The album makes me think of a quote from a speech by the author Toni Morrison, who also was very fixated on ghosts and the beyond. "I entered this hall pleasantly haunted by those who have entered it before me." While there's certainly a time and place for the dismal, raw black metal, it is also nice to listen to an album like Death and the Beyond and be pleasantly haunted. So, do you like the sound of this album, or is it too far flung from traditional black metal for you? Let me know what you think in the comments, and if you like this video, please subscribe so you can find out what the metal album of the day is, why it is so brutal, and where it fits in the history of the genre.